Hello and welcome to another fun-filled nonsense retrospective. Well, today we're doing another After Dark episode. I'm your host as always, Rick. Joining me equally as always is Devon.
To quote the great and powerful Blitzo, "There's dildos in the walls." Ha!
The O is silent.
Did I say Blitzo? My apologies.
Yeah. I half expected you to say there's dilds in the walls.
Oh, that would have been a good joke, but unfortunately my brain just farted.
Yeah.
Okay, before we do our hypothetical questions, Rick, do you want to lay down the ground rules for what we're doing today?
Okay, so today we are making a fantasy Smasher-like game. It could be, I don't know whether it was going to be Smash-like or more like a 2D fighter like Street Fighter or BlazBlue.
I think the game itself is going to be a fighting game in the vein of Street Fighter, but what we mean, what we mean by Smash clone is literally we're going to create a roster that's basically a crossover roster featuring a core rule, which Rick is going to share with y'all.
The core rule is that it is from adult media, so it could be from adult cartoons, adult video games, things along those lines. Doesn't necessarily have to be porn, but it helps. And I think we've both done I hope that we've both done a reasonable job of getting a broad set of things to draw from.
Well, rather helpfully, Rick revealed to me that he's leaning more towards shows, so I've tried to lean more towards video games, so hopefully we'll get a good solid mix. Also, we both knew the other one was going to do at least one option from Has-Been/Haluva, so we split that between us, so Rick's got a Has-Been character, I've got a Haluva character.
Spoiler, you can probably figure out which ones they are just from what we like already. And we've also taken one from a lewd game. But yeah, before we get too far into that, let's go with our good old time-honored tradition of the nonsense, asinine, hypotheticals. And do you have one for me today?
I do. It's a bit of a boring generic one, so my apologies on that front. The last TV show you watched and the last video game you played are going to get mashed together. You're taking the protagonist from the TV show and putting him in the video game world. How fucked is the video game world?
This is cool, because the last time I watched a show, it was Mando.
Oh,
so Din Djarin.
Oh, that's a pretty solid pick.
And the last game I played was the Diablo 4 beta. So Din Djarin in the Diablo 4 beta, yeah, he's pretty well set.
Yeah, Diablo's fucked.
Yeah. That said, probably not as fucked as nerds would like to believe, because Mandalorians seem to have trouble taking down raid bosses on their own. So yeah, he might have a bit of issue against some of the larger dudes.
I mean, you say that,
especially the more intelligent ones.
You say that, but I think the only reason why Mando's been having trouble with big creatures in the show right now, this second, is because they now have to show that the rest of the Mandalorians are also cool.
Yes.
And it's one of those where the Mandalores are a warrior-like race in a galaxy full of warrior-like races and still scare the piss out of the other warrior-like races. So it's one of those where it's kind of difficult to make them all brooding badasses, but they're trying their damnedest. But honestly, the actual annoying thing about Mandalorians is the more you learn about them, the less cool they are.
Oh yeah. The more you dive into it, the more they're just teenagers who never matured.
Yeah, man, it's rather depressing. The armor is still cool because she barely says anything, but yeah.
And you just know that she's a cool old granny under that.
And I'm into that.
Yeah. The armor are basically the matriarch of all Mando society right now.
Yeah. If we do a retro season 3, I'm gonna have some fucking words about that, but whatever. But yeah, Rick, do you have a question for me?
Yes, I do. My one for you is, if the Earth still had Pangea, rather than the current continents that we had, do you think it would make for a better world or worse, and why?
Oh, I don't think it would make much of a difference at this point in society. I think where we are at this point in society would be a bit more fucked because, or rather, not more fucked, but I think there would have been a lot more genocide in our history. And considering that the human race has got a pretty fucking full track record of genocide already, that's fucking saying something.
Yeah, you reckon Genghis would have had his way and wiped out too many people?
I don't think Genghis would have been the problem, because Genghis stopped on the eastern border of the Roman Empire anyway. Well, not the Eastern Empire. I forget where he stopped. I think he got near... He took over most of Eastern Europe, but I can't remember the exact reason why he stopped. And then his kids obviously decided, fuck Europe, and decided to take Japan, and that didn't work. So, yeah. I don't think Genghis... I'm not even thinking of Genghis specifically, but, genocide's been a thing forever. Romans had a fucking real hard-on for eradicating the Jews, not to mention a more recent historical example of that, and it's certainly not going on still this day, but hey-ho diddly-do. You know what I mean? I think you got to bear in mind, there are cultures, even today, which are still in isolated places of the globe that haven't been contacted by other civilizations, and it's probably in part because of their remoteness, that these are usually islands, and the islands usually have dense fucking forest on them.
Yes,
you know?
yes. And they do not want to be contacted.
No, I don't blame. I still remember, I feel bad for laughing at it, but it is quite funny, of the fucking Christian emissary who was like, these people have been uncontacted by the West, and this Christian emissary was like, I'm going to spread the love of Jesus Christ. Oh no. They just fucking threw spears at him from the shore and killed him in his boat. And it's like,
yes.
You can't have that too much sympathy for the guy, because it's like, well, what did you fucking expect?
Yeah, you're an invader, and that's how you defend a home. That's how you defend a home. Like, you get the entire island together and tell the guy who's coming to just fuck off in the most direct terms that you can.
But yeah, suffice to say, I have a rather grim outlook as to if it was a super Pangea sort of continent with no oceans and seas. But, you know, it's one of those where I'm not a historical expert by any means. It's just the parts of history I tend to look at are just grim, and you think, oh, if these had access to every stretch of the world without having to invent sailing or, domesticate horses so they can travel further, it probably wouldn't be a good time. I imagine there'd be less people on the Earth.
Sure.
And by less people, I mean less diversity, not less physical as in the actual number.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
I feel you.
That's my guess. I don't know. You're probably better off asking that question to someone who knows what the fuck they're talking about.
But yeah, today we're doing our adult Smash-alike. Like we say, we're using we're saying Smash-alike just because it adheres to rules. Just like Sakurai's rule is, for Smash they have to have originated in a game, and we skirted the line a bit with the pick of Cal Kestis. These all have to be in something that is meant for 18 plus audiences. So,
with that in mind, if you're under the age of 18, fuck off now.
Yeah, this is an After Dark one. This is meant to be for 18 plus audiences. So, who is your number one pick?
Oh, you want me to go first? Okie dokie. Well, I already spoilt it. My number one pick is going to be Blitz from Haluva Boss.
Yeah! Yeah, he's a very good marksman character with some trickster archetypal extras, and also he's got a mouth on him. It's fantastic.
Oh, yeah, I imagine, if you've ever played Marvel vs. Capcom, Deadpool is constantly shooting off, well, he's the merc with the mouth, he constantly talks shit, that's kind of his gimmick. I imagine Blitz would be the same during gameplay.
Yeah, totally.
He even shows it in the show whenever he's fucking he's always having idle banter with his crew, and if he's not doing that, he's shit talking. It's great. I do feel like it's cheating a little bit using Haluva Boss, because any of Imp would be a perfectly valid character. Yeah,
would you have Moxie and Millie as separate characters or as a duo?
I'd have them as separate characters, because Moxie is very much a gun, well, and more recently, very stereotypical gangster type character, whereas Moxie is clearly a fucking barbarian with an axe. You know, someone pointed out in the comment section in one of the Haluva Boss videos wow, Eminem is literally just the rogue and the barbarian getting together, ain't it?
Yeah, totally. But yeah, my first one.
Oh, I wasn't finished.
Were you? Were you
no.
Not? Okay.
No. We got to talk movesets, we got to talk super, we got to talk stages.
Yes.
Moveset, as you said, Blitz is pretty much overpowered. Give him guns, he's already a physically big imp. We've seen him throw hands, especially with Striker.
Yes.
He's probably not the most competent hand-to-hand combatant, but, you can give him some punches and kicks. Make him a bit scrappy, I'd say. He's definitely getting projectiles in the form of guns.
Yeah. Would you make Stolas his support character or a separate character?
I wouldn't have Stolas in the game, not as a fighter.
So you wouldn't have his ultimate be the summoning book or anything like that?
No. I love Stolas. I think he's adorable, but I think we've seen time and time again in the show that he's not a fighter. He's got great magical capabilities, and I don't know, if we went the Soul Calibur or Darkstalkers route, we could definitely do something with him, but personally I'd have him I'd have him in the end story mode CG, being the ultimate, Blitz, you won the tournament, let's go home and make passionate love, because that's the type of bullshit Stolas would pull. Yes.
Yeah, the kind of like an ending character, an ending end credits single frame, not even animated, just a like a sepia photo kind of thing.
I mean, it's also we're doing an adult-themed fighting game. The closing CG could just be straight up hentai. I don't know how willing Vizziepop would be to allow that to be in an official part of the game, but whatever. But yeah,
I mean, there were dicks coming out of the wall.
Yeah, they were dildos. That's not the same. But yeah, it's one of those. I don't know. I imagine she wouldn't be bothered by it, but I can't speak for her.
Yeah, totally. Plus, it's not like we're actually making this game.
Oh, absolutely not, because the licensing rights alone would be a nightmare. But yeah, as for Super, I think his Super would be, you know, that one bit in the Dorks headquarters where he pulls out a rocket launcher, sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would just be. It'd be just like, oh fuck this, and pulls it out of his fucking bag of tricks, and then bang. And as for a stage, I'd want Imp Headquarters to be the stage that gets included for Blitz, but I also think that there's enough variety in the background scenes of Helluva Boss that you could have any. You could just pick a location, boom. Like, I think Stolas and Stella's bedroom would probably be a funny one.
Yeah, I like the idea of Imp HQ, especially now that we know that the wall is removable.
That's true. That's very true.
Like a removable wall that it is now, okay, if you're on that side of the stage, you might get kicked out of it.
I also like the idea that if you're in Imp Headquarters, you could have Luna in the background, chilling casually at her desk, just playing on her phone while the fight's going on.
Oh yeah, that's your two-way thing. Okay, on one side you've got the open edge that you can get kicked out of. On the other side you got Luna, and if you piss her off too much, she'll maul you.
But I think it'd be funnier for her to just not acknowledge the fight at all, because that seems more in character.
Well, yeah, depending on what mood she's in, either work.
Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, I think Blitz is definitely my first pick. I think we've done a good job doing movesets, supers, and stage. I'll throw it over to you, Rick.
So yeah, in a similar vein, like you said, I picked the Has-Been Hotel counterpart, Alastor the Radio Demon.
Yeah. I can't think of anyone else from Has-Been who would be a good fighter.
Well, Angel Dust is a very good fighter. He's just not the Radio Demon.
Okay. But if you put the two of them against each other, who do you think's winning?
Oh yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Like, we chatted about this before the show a couple of days ago, and we thought that he would be a very good announcer for the whole game.
Yeah.
And that he's basically a secret unlockable character. And I said, like, it could even be, you know, like how in SNK games, that one of the characters is normally playable and is regular power level on power balance, but if you fight them as a boss, they are like actual last boss level of bullshit, but with extra secret boss moves. I think that would work very well for Alastor the Radio Demon.
Yeah, I get you. In Tekken and Mortal Kombat's kind of cheating, but in Tekken, the final boss is usually not playable, and in Mortal Kombat, the final boss is even more annoying in that they're playable, but they're not playable in their boss mode form.
Yes. But yeah, for a stage, the hotel is actually a good one, because you can do whatever you like with a hotel, especially with Alastor in control, because he can just make the walls bleed or turn the entire thing into radio static, or TV static, sorry. And yeah, I think the ultimate would be him just looking at the camera, doing a nightmare face, and then static happens, and then players are gone.
That's more of a Smash thing than a fighting game thing, but I get the general gist.
Yeah. But for like normal moves, bonking people with his cane, and I can see him being a bit more of a trap setter, because he warps reality so much. Just warp reality in the stage for okay, now there is a portal there. It goes to either something that's going to chew you up massively, or something that warps you in a weird way.
Okay, I don't know how you'd implement that into a traditional 2D fighting game.
I guess you put things on the floor. I mean, there are trap setters in 2D fighting games.
Yeah, I know, but the way you described it made it sound like a sideways portal that takes up like a quarter of the screen.
Okay, yeah, I meant like something on the floor that does something.
Okay.
And if your opponent either steps on it willingly or gets knocked into it, then they take the trap damage, you know?
Okay, sure.
But yeah, I think that's about good enough for my number one. What's your number two?
My number two is going to be Coconut from Nico Para.
Okay. I never played these games, so please enlighten me.
To call them games is a bit of a stretch. They are they are visual novels. They're not even long ones. I believe it takes like 4 hours to beat the game. They're also not visual novels. They're more kinetic novels. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like
you just basically click play. You can read the bits if you want, but what it is just a CG collection that progresses.
It's a bit more in depth than that. Like, to be fair to Nico Para, it is more story based than porn based, because I know what exactly the type of game you're thinking of. It's the type of game you're thinking of is £3 on Steam and it's 15 minutes long and you get one sex scene.
Yep.
But yeah, no, this is a pretty decent game. The animation is usually pretty good. The reason why I go for Coconut as opposed to Chocolat or Vanilla, who are the quote-unquote main girls, is Coconut is very tall, and she is described as the strongest of the cat maids.
Yeah, okay, I can see that.
And she's adorable. All the girls in Nico Para are adorable. Of course they are. But yeah.
Do they have a cat maid cafe?
Yes, that's the gimmick.
Okay, so I'm assuming the cafe would be the stage.
Yes, it's pretty much the only place in the game. You gotta have a maid cafe in a fucking adult fighting game. I will give you some information about Nico Para just to fill in the blanks. Nico Para's always freaked me out a little bit because of the way they handle cat girls.
Right, okay.
They don't use human ages. They don't use the human aging scale.
Oh no.
They age like cats, so all of the characters are technically 1 or 2 years old, but because they're humanized, 1 or 2 years old means they're between the ages of 18 and 25. But boy, does it make me uncomfortable.
Yeah, when someone's age is listed as 3 in brackets in cat years, it's that's worse.
It's one of those. It really is one of those where they do that thing that all porn games do, where all of the characters featured in this game are over the age of 18. Some put over the age of 21 because of state laws in America, but whatever. It is a bit creepy. It is a bit. So the movesets are pretty much a no-brainer. I'd make her like Felicia from Darkstalkers. Give her some really animalistic attacks. The cat girls in Nico Para don't really have paws. In fact, the only thing that makes them cat girls is the ears and the tail. So you'd probably have to alter a few of Felicia's attacks to make it look more actually damaging for a human. And you got to give the jiggle physics, because the jiggle physics exist in Nico Para. So much so there's a slider to increase both jiggle physics and bust size.
Okay.
The finisher would be super obvious for Coconut. Coconut is strong. She is the strongest. She is the tallest. She's very self-conscious about her appearance because she wants to be cute and feminine, but she is a beast. She's not even that beastly. But yeah, unfortunately, she is also clumsy as fuck. So her finishing move would be her picking up some kind of weapon and then immediately tripping and falling like cute maids do in shows, and the weapon goes flying and bonks the enemy on the head and does big damage.
I like that.
So yeah, I think that about sums it up for Coconut from Nico Para. I'm going to throw it over to you for your second pick.
My number 2. This is probably one that you wouldn't have thought I would pick, but I'm going with Magister Razaran from Dragon Age Absolution.
Skirting the rules here, but go on.
Yeah, so this isn't porn in any way, but it's definitely not for kids. There's a thing that I'd say is you need gore in an 18-plus game like this, and he very much brings the gore. He doesn't create it, he just utilizes it. He's a blood mage, so you can use any magic kind of thing that you can just stick onto him, but also like his ultimates would be blood magic focused, potentially controlling the opponent, but that's more of a party game thing. The thing that he does in the show is that he puts control on a dragon and on a corpse, so having a second fighter pop down for a little bit and just help out for a little while before it gets destroyed could be a good ultimate.
I've even without an ultimate, like regular moveset, there's a character in Smite whose name, I think it's Arpuk, which is a Mayan death god. And one of his moves is he just flings corpses at people, but the corpse comes to life halfway through the throw, so they start running and then they explode on contact. I think a really cool animation for one of the dude's attacks would be, granted it's not exactly how Dragon Age necromancy / blood magic works, but I think for the sake of a fighting game you take some artistic liberties.
Yeah.
Is if he just brings up a corpse from the ground under his hand and then just pushes it towards the foe and then it starts running, so it's like just a really big projectile.
Yeah, I feel you. That's how I
go for
because it. In fact, you can combine the two, because the way that it works in Dragon Age is you put a demon into a corpse. So having two different things. One of them is you bring up the corpse as a shield, and the other is you put a demon in something. The demon could just do normal damage to a person, but when it hits a corpse, it turns it into an animated corpse, and it just walks along and does its thing rather than just being a wall.
I get you. That being said, as well, going back to potentially controlling the opponent, there is a character who does that in Mortal Kombat.
Okay.
Ermac.
Right, the the original secret character from Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, Ermac.
Yes.
He has an attack that literally just binds a person into place for a minute and lets you basically start a combo for free. And I mean, like, just doing that would probably work. Like, yeah, it's not straight up control, but straight up controlling your opponent in a fighting game would be busted.
Oh yeah, totally. Especially on stages where you can walk off, which normally you probably won't be able to. But depending on what stages we end up envisioning, it could be possible. And for this, I would just go with the Magistorum Intervinter, because we saw it in the show. There was quite a lot of different areas to go to, and maybe a bit like the Fire Emblem stages, you just like teleport between zones. It doesn't mean much, but it's just there for flavour.
Well, fighting games have stage transitions, like too.
Sure.
Like I don't think Soul Calibur does. Injustice does, you know.
Yeah, I know Dead or Alive does. You can kick someone out of a window and they fall onto a roof down below because you were on the top floor and the roof is an adjacent building, and then you kick them off that and they fall into the road.
Yeah, man, like shit like that. It's goofy, it's fun, and it's a bit more entertaining than just a bog standard ring out a la Soul Calibur.
Yeah, I feel you. But yeah, I think that's about enough for Manchester Zarin. Who is your number 3?
My number 3 is I'm gonna butcher this pronunciation. I'm sorry. Kassira from COC2.
Ah, yeah. The villain who's not all that villainous because she's much nicer than most of the actual antagonists that you face.
Yeah, she's the big bad, or at least she's portrayed as the big bad in the prologue, but I've been told that later on she's just straight up becomes a character, but whatever. In her initial encounter, she's presented as a dream, and yeah, later on she's just constantly antagonizing you, and honestly, if you go a certain option, you just fuck her a lot.
Yeah.
It's one
like even the first encounter is basically, do you want to suck my cock? And you can say yes or no, and like even if you say no, she's like, yeah, all right, I'm not going to force you. But it clues you in for the kind of game that's going to be.
But yeah, I don't think COC2 is anywhere near as charming or fun as COC1. However, this character's definitely one for the books. She is big, like, it's stupidly big. She has a form later on where she's not quite so stupidly big, but I play into the big aspect. Like, some of her artwork, she's got muscles, some she doesn't. I believe it's because of her demonic nature, she can just change to whatever suits her needs at the time. So I'd have
to whatever her partner likes.
Well, yeah, that too. I'd have her be big and bulky, specifically like built like a fucking Amazon. And I'd have her be fucking Zangief in game. I'd have her be a big old grappler who does power bombs.
Yeah, totally. I can see that.
I don't really. Go on.
I was going to say, would you have her just like poof the muscle away and just look all demure and shy during her victory screen?
No, I'd have her fucking. I'd have her hot dogging. Hot dogging in the wrestling sense, not hot dogging in the sexual sense.
I mean, I was just going to assume the latter.
Like proper Hulk Hogan just going yeah while fucking flexing the muscles. And yes, I realised I did a Macho Man impression. Fuck off. I don't really know what you do for a stage because COC's a bit weird in that, you know, there's a few bits of beautiful background artwork, but I don't think any of them are really interesting stages. At a push, I'd probably just make it a generic forest just so there is a forest stage in the game.
Sure, okay. I'd say maybe the chapel that you first encounter her at that ends up, you know, caked in spooge. Nah.
I'm good with the forest entry.
Okay. Yeah, because I think that was actually the first zone that you could just go and explore.
Yeah, it's right outside the starting town.
Yeah, well, pretty much everything is just right outside the starting town. That's kind of one of the things you have to just accept.
The first place you go is the forest, and you don't have anything available to you apart from the forest when you first start the game. I don't know what you want from me.
Yeah, fair enough. Like you can go east, north, or south, and yeah.
No, you can't. You can exit the town. You're in the forest, and then you can go northeast or south. Northeast or west. But even then, you're still in the fucking forest.
No. If you exit from the correct exit of the town, you just go to whichever zone you want to.
At the beginning of the game, you can only exit via one fucking entrance, dude.
Okay.
You beat the prologue, and they go, "Hey, we need you to do X," and you go, "Okay, dokie," and then you exit via the north, and there's only one entrance into the town.
Okay.
Maybe I'm still in the prologue. I don't know. I've not played the game for a fucking while, but when I played it, you could only exit via the north of the town, and you could only enter via the north of the town.
If you've not played it for that long, then it might be the case that you played when that was the only zone.
No. I played it within the last year, dude. It's
okay.
Anyway, we're getting into this fucking topic for no goddamn reason. You can't just smile and nod and go, yeah, okay, whatever. You know, forest. We're doing the forest. As for a super move, it's an 18+ game. She's from a porn game. It's going to be an 18+ move. She's gonna to pin whoever she's fighting down and give a good old stretching.
Yep. Yeah, there's no other way that could really go, is there?
It's kind of her deal.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's going to be it for Kasira from COC2. I'm going to throw it over to you for your third character.
My number 3 is, well, in a similar vein, I've got Kiro Tamahime from Trials in Tainted Space.
I don't recognise this name off the top of my head.
She is the Tanuki pirate.
Oh, yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah, she's like the best companion in the whole game. Like she's a lot of fun to just pal around with, and then, she falls for you because, you're the protagonist, and in a tug game, everyone falls for the protagonist, apart from the people who, you need to actually kill because it does have plot.
Well, in Trials of Tainted Space, you don't have to kill anyone.
Oh, you don't have to, but you can.
Okay, but
depending on what your character...
it's a bit dickish to, kill certain people.
Yeah, but certain ones kind of really deserve it because they've been actual villains the whole time.
Yeah, but you can also send them to prison.
Yeah, true. Or you can bend them over your knee and spank them on the arse.
One thing I will say about Kiro is I do like when you go to the pirate planet, you're they ask you for a password and you go, oh shit, I'll be right back. And you can have the option to just phone up Kiro. You go, hey Kiro, what's the password for the pirate planet? And she's like, fuck off. And he's like, the main character literally just goes, oh, I didn't realise it was that big of a deal. And she goes, no, it's fuck off.
Yep. And there is a point on the pirate planet where you get to steal a ship.
Mm-hmm.
If you are pals enough with Kiro and she's letting you use her ship, the ship that you steal means that you leave the other ship behind. I don't think she ever forgives you if you leave her ship behind.
That's fair. I didn't even realise you could get Kiro's ship.
Yeah, it's like I'd say it's like the second best in the game, and the best one is the one that you steal.
Ah.
So yeah, it's both are worth working towards. Her ship is the Blade. It looks like a leaf, and if you're familiar with Tanuki lore, then yes, they have leaves in their whole mythos. She even has one in her hair as a cute little hairpin. But yeah, she's a mixed fighter for me. So both got a space cutlass and a laser pistol and all that, just doing space buccaneering. And again, 18+ game. The special, the ultimate would be some kind of hosing. She is very pent up. You ever seen a Tanuki's testicles? Yeah, she's got that. and yeah, the stage, I probably wouldn't make it I'd make it Zhengxi, the pirate planet, because I think that's more open to things that you can do and in the background and stage transitions than just her ship.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I don't think sometimes a stage can just be a stage, but hey, it's your character, that's fine.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I also thought of making the ship like something that she could use in battle, but nah, it's too big to do something like that, seeing as you're normally able to be inside it along with a bunch of companion characters. But yeah, so yeah, I'll make it into the pirate planet.
I think Trials in Tainted Space suffers from the same thing as COC2 in that there's loads of environments, but you don't really see them. So just creating a stage from it requires a lot of artistic license in the first place, as well as just being able to imagine it yourself.
Yeah, that's one of those things. These games are based almost entirely around imagination. So yes, you can read the thing, but you've got to fill in the blanks yourself. And if you're not a very imaginative person, it makes it a bit less of a fun game. So yeah, you do need to know what the author was going for to a certain degree, as well as what they've actually written.
Yep.
But an asteroid pirate base that has a casino and slave pits and a bunch of cobbled together starships in the hangar that are all non-stock things that have been modified to hell and back. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it would be cool.
But you'd have to pick one, maybe two, if you're going to have stage transitions, because trying to cram all that into one stage would just be a mess.
Yeah, I'd probably go with the hangar, because I don't think we've got any other space type characters, and the casino.
Yeah, sure. I don't know how you connect the two, but go for it.
Yeah, they're not that far apart, as they wouldn't be on an asteroid thing like that. But yeah, who is your number 4?
My number 4 is Lynetta from Sucker for Love.
Yeah, this is a really good one. I like it.
Yeah, there's 3 adorable eldritch waifus in Sucker for Love. This is the first and probably the most popular, the Cthulhu-esque demon girl. This game isn't actually porn, despite every single preview of the game making it look like porn.
Yeah, it's a romance game rather than a porn game.
Yeah, it's fun. It's just a fun game. If you've not played Sucker for Love, I'd recommend getting it, playing it, and buying it. Probably not in that order. And I remember I played this game not long before going to Comic-Con with a couple of guys, and I told them about one moment which really fucking made me laugh, but also scared the shit out of me. In that, the gameplay for this game is literally, you've got a book, you need to do a bunch of rituals in the book to make Lynetta like you and get her approval up, and eventually get that big old kiss. One of the spells is the breakup spell, which is do this and it dismisses Lynetta and everything. Here's the thing: is I read everything in the book because it's a thing to read. So I was reading it, and then I got about halfway through the page, and the biggest jump scare ever, because I wasn't expecting this game to have jump scares, because she pulls the book down and puts her face in your face, and there's a loud fucking, like a random piano key being smashed, and she goes, "Why are you looking at that?" And you're like, I was just looking, bro. Shit, fuck. Oh, but that's what I thought after my heart returned to a normal heart rate, because I was not expecting that. But it makes sense. She's in the room. She knows what's in the book.
She also is aware of every timeline and every save file that you do. She knows them all.
Okay.
So even in future playthroughs, when you go with the other girls, she remembers that you have to cheat on her to do that.
Yes.
Even in ones before that. So she knows, she's still willing to take a punt on you and hoping that this is a timeline where you do stick with her.
Yeah, but she's also an eldritch being who's asleep in a in 5-dimensional space. She knows that this version of you isn't the same version as another version of you, potentially.
And also, I believe that all the versions of you that she interacts with have already died, because the universe fell to her as soon as you started the game.
When she wakes up, the world goes away. However, because she remembers you, because she knows you will always exist in every single timeline, which is such a weird take on romance, and yet, still adorable.
Yeah, it's my eldritch waifu cannot be this cute.
Yeah. When they showed the second eldritch waifu, I was like, oh, you ain't got a fucking candle on the letter. So much so when I did my second playthrough, I was just like, I'm not cheating on the letter. And to do the second waifu's route, you have to specifically cheat on the letter.
Yeah, because that's one of her things that she wants to do, is show Lynetta up and steal followers away from Lynetta.
It's her gimmick. She steals followers. That's exactly 100% it. And it's like, ugh. I haven't unlocked the third character because it requires finding 3 secret notes, and I only found one, and I can't find a guide. But apparently the third one is basically a granny, so just saying.
Yeah, she's voiced by one of the voice actresses for Rouge the Bat.
Ah, yes, I read that, yeah.
Yeah, she's Nyan Lathotep.
Yeah. It's an ancient Egyptian god, except she's literally a cat, because that's the joke.
Yeah, she's a giant cat girl.
But yeah, Lynetta's a pretty easy one. You'd have her human waifu form in the game, not her actual form, because her actual form is implied to just straight up be Cthulhu, but whatever. I'd have her fighting moves be a lot of, she'll throw punches and kicks as regular moves, her not super moves, but her special attacks. I always align things to Mortal Kombat in my head, because it makes it easier to design characters.
Sure.
But her special attacks would be her just throwing out tentacles with her fists, so giving her quite a bit of range. I don't think she'd have straight up Hadoukens, or Shoryukens, whatever.
Okay.
I think she'd be throwing out tentacles, so giving her a long range punch move, and I think she could definitely benefit from having like an entangle type move that seizes you up for a few seconds.
Yeah, I can also see if she does use tentacles a bit more often than supers. Like Sub-Zero's got his like little ice Hadouken where he just freezes things. Like things that are like relatively spammable. Having the tentacle have a tip that does more damage, I think would be pretty good.
Yeah, that makes sense.
If you can finesse it with a zoning.
It's not really something that's done in fighting games.
Okay, fair enough.
I could be wrong on that front, but it usually doesn't matter what part of you hits during the move. If a part of you hits during the move, you do the damage.
Sure.
But yeah, super is another very obvious one. The screen fades to black, and it just keeps the camera makes a sort of zoom out effect until you see just a shoulder of Cthulhu, and then everything warps back to where you were. Big damage.
Emotional damage.
Well, just knowing that the big thing with eldritch beings, and specifically Lovecraft's Cthulhu-esque, I say Cthulhu-esque, like Cthulhu is one elder demon in a fucking universe of elder demons, where the reason why it causes people to go insane and it kills people and it does weird effects is it's a 5-dimensional being in a 4-dimensional space.
Yes.
It should not exist, and therefore it fucks everything up.
It's making us aware of the 4th dimension is bad enough, and like the passage of time is something that we have to get to grips with as human beings. These make time into their bitch the same way that we make 2 of our dimensions into our bitch, and the 3rd one we've got some kind of influence over. We have no influence over time. We have to just go along with with it.
Yeah, pretty much. So like Cthulhu, I keep saying Cthulhu. Lovecraft stories are great. Some of them are a bit stupid because, unfortunately, with writing, sometimes you have to spell things out at the end. So,
yes.
There's reveals where the veil tells you a little bit too much, but I also think that happens more of the early stories when he was starting to get to grips with what he was going for. And the stage would obviously be the room because the game takes place in one room.
Yeah, like the most variance you get from the one room is the bathroom and just looking outside into the alleyway.
Yeah,
it's
but even
an alleyway, it's like the top floor of an apartment complex.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's very stereotypical Japanese apartment where you got the you know the one. You can't even have the window open during the net's route. The netter's route because it drives you insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's a pretty solid fourth character. Rick, what about you?
I'm gonna go for a. I hope this one is fun. We're gonna go with Tia Beanie, Maria Beanie, De La Rochambeau, Grunkwitz from Disenchantment.
Oh, I really think we had different fucking rule sets when coming up with our lists, Rick.
Fair enough.
But yeah, go on.
Yeah, so I think that she would be a very good familiar user and trap setter, but she also is very good at brawling. Elfo and Lucy, I think, will both make good familiars with both with different move sets to use. Like, I think similar to how Peach just produces Toad as a block, she could do that with Elfo, but Lucy is more of a thing that you can just kind of set on the ground and he'll just like sneak along and then backstab someone, you know?
Sure. I still think you're also gearing this more towards a Smash Bros. Moveset.
Maybe so, because I'm imagining it in like a Blaze Blue / Guilty Gear style, where it is just 1v1 2D.
Yeah, but even I'm thinking Mortal Kombat, which is still 2D. Well, it's not 2D,
yep,
it's 3D, but the stage is, side-on 2D. There's no... Yeah. When I say 2D, I mean classic fighting game, whereas Soul Calibur is definitely 3D, because you fight all round, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine. I think I'm going to ban you from using the term trap setter going forward.
Okay, because none of the other ones are, it's fine. But yeah, I would have the stage be the Dreamland Castle, including the elevator to hell for a stage transition.
I think you shouldn't have a stage transition for that. I think when you're on a stage selection, you should have a secret code. If you put in a secret code, you play the hell version of the level.
Okay, I get that. So yeah, you could have the trapdoor as a stage hazard, but if you go on the trapdoor at the wrong time, you get dropped out.
No, I don't think you can have. I don't think you could have that in a traditional fighting game because that's too bullshit.
Okay. Fair enough. So yeah, normal moves are mostly brawling. She does pick up weapons now and again, but she generally, like when she picked up a gun, she uses it as a club and basically nearly shoots herself in the leg.
To be fair, no one from her kingdom had ever seen a gun before.
This is true. Yeah, she uses it as a club, and later on she does shoot her dad with it.
Yeah, and that's what causes her to be exiled.
Yeah.
That's the last episode I saw, by the way, or that was the last season I saw. I've not watched it since, so anything from beyond that is spoilers.
Yeah, fair enough. There is one thing, so I will have to spoil that she has another ability, and this will be the ultimate. It's just that she has magic, and she uses the magic as the ultimate.
Well, we already knew she had magic from the fact that we found out who her mother was.
Yeah, but she starts to harness it, so we use that. If you know, you know, and if you don't, you don't.
Time stopped.
But yeah, that's it for my number 4. Who is your number 5?
Okay, my number 5 is the character who I struggled the most with, because I really didn't know if I wanted to include her or not. Mostly because of the game she's from, because the game she's from freaks me the fuck out, and yet it still entices me a little bit.
Okay.
I've picked Claudia from Futadom World.
Alrighty, I've never played this.
Yeah, I don't blame you. This is a game that came out when I was in college.
Oh boy, that's quite some time ago.
Yeah, but when it came out there, they had 2 routes that were very limited. Now the game is on 0.9. It's still not finished, Rick. It's been 10 years.
Oh man.
But yeah, Claudia's been a character since day one, but she's only I say recently. It's like halfway through the from 0.1 to 0.9, she became a route. And the reason why I say this game freaks me out is it's not the Futanari thing. I don't care about that. That's fine. It's more the Dom part that freaks me the fuck out, because the way they decided to implement this is a world dominated by Futanari. They are the dominant sex.
Sure.
They are stronger and smarter and better than you in every single way, which is a kink I'm not into. Just straight up, it makes you go, ugh. But the big gimmick is, if they have sex with you and you are a man, your mind goes blank and you become a fucking dribbling slave.
Oh no.
Which is the bit I'm really not into, and it sucks because I'm like, oh cool, a game about banging futanari. Oh, that's the gimmick. Fuck. Now, some of the animated scenes are great. The story is fucking horrible. So it's one of those where, like, the good endings for some characters is just, oh, you became a dribbling mind slave to this futanari person that you enjoy, but they're a good person, so it's okay. And it's like, that's the fucking good ending.
Man, I get why you would be uncomfortable about this.
The funny thing is the character they present as a bitch has got one of the better endings because she wants you to not lose your mind.
Yeah, wouldn't you think that would be a normal thing for, like, the good aligned characters to want? Oh man.
Yeah. Anyway, Claudia's the cop. That's her gimmick.
Okay.
She is your childhood friend, and she was elated when, I forget the fucking kingdom's name, but the kingdom of Futanari invaded your homeland while you were still a children, and she was delighted because Futanari retreated horribly in the kingdom until they were liberated, and now they're the top dogs. She's the main character's cop. You have to pay a tax every 2 weeks to remain a free man, because otherwise you have to be binded to a futanari. This is a fucked up world, Rick, and this is why I'm in-and-ahhing over whether or not to even share this. This game recently actually made it to Steam, so take that for what you will.
Man.
It's one of those where you can pay half the tax amount if you pay the Imperial way. Can you tell what that is, Rick?
Yeah, that's,
Yeah.
Sucky.
No, up the butt.
Yep, okay.
And it's one of those where, like, there's a character in game whose name I also forget, but you can buy a thing called spermicide.
Okay.
If you ingest this just before being injected with, you guessed it, it kills off the mind-numbing effects, so you don't turn into a fucking driveling mind slave.
That seems like a useful drug to have.
Yeah. Like I said, the game, I like the core concept, apart from that part. Like, if you take out the part where just by having sexual relations with one, you are doomed to have a half-life at best, it would be a more fun game for me, but whatever. It's clearly enough people's fetishes because it's being financed entirely by Patreon.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, as for moveset, she's a cop. As I said, the gimmick for the game is futanari are just the strongest gender by default. But I don't fucking know why. They don't go into the biology reasons because, fuck it, it's a video game about getting your fucking rocks off. What do you want from us? Because, just for context, they all look like, apart from the fact they got massive dicks, they look like regular women.
Yes.
So there should be no biological reason why they are automatically stronger than everyone else.
Yeah. While we were talking, I looked at the itch.io page, and yeah, they all just do look like normal waifus.
Yeah. Like, they're cute. And like I said, I've got no issue with futanari. It's fine. I enjoy it. But yeah, she's a cop. She'd have regular brawling moves, I think. I think I'd make her like a bit... No, not Lei Rulong, because he's Drunken Fist. I think I'd make him like Brian Fury from Tekken.
Sure.
Like big haymakers. I'd also give her a ranged move in the form of pulling a gun out and taking a few shots. Like, that's not new in fighting games. As for a super, I'd probably name her Super the Imperial Way, and she handcuffs her opponent to a bed and then takes her payment the Imperial Way, doing big damage. And at the end of the day, this is an 18 rated game, and I think if we don't make use of that, we're missing a trick.
Yeah. Do you want this to be a normal super that you can use at any time, or do you want this to be one that you can only use as like a finisher below like a quarter health?
No, it's a super. Like, bear in mind, we're making the game rules. Like, I imagine it takes a while to build up your super meter.
Sure.
Like, I think realistically in a game, you're likely to save up enough energy for one super at most. So it's up to you to use it at the best time.
Alrighty. Yeah, like over 3 rounds, you probably only get 1, maybe 2 at a punch if you're a character that revolves around a super and generating super energy.
Yeah. Like, if the character's super is like Blitz's, where it's just a quick, oh fuck this, bang with a bazooka, then it does a chunk of damage, but not a big chunk. Whereas if it's like Cassira or Claudia, where it's literally giving a bit of a rough anal time, it takes big damage.
Yep.
As for the area, I think the stage will be the MREA office, which, don't ask me what that stands for. I can't remember. I'm sure it's something horrible. It's basically the equivalent of the police police station because that's where Claudia works. So that's where it'd be. I think having a bunch of not even buff ladies in police uniforms just walking in the background, everyone will know what they're there for. And yeah, that does it for
Totally.
That does it for Claudia. I didn't think I'd ever tell another soul about Futadon World, Rick, and here we are telling the world.
Count yourselves lucky, chat. I mean, viewers.
But yes, Rick, you've got... Oh no, your fifth character, Rick.
Yeah, so I've gone for one who is a bit of a rival to Alastor in terms of being the announcer. I've gone for Handsome Jack from Borderlands. Now, the game that he's in is very much an 18-plus game, or at least M17, because of the amount of swearing that goes on.
Oh yeah, and let's not mince words. They fucking talk about fucking other people.
Oh yeah, totally. And yeah, Handsome Jack is a very entertaining character to have, and he's also a pretty good combatant. Not that he needs it, because he's got his entire empire. He could even be the one that organised the whole fighting tournament in this case.
That's genius. If there's a story mode, that should absolutely be the twist.
Yeah. And he's always fighting with Alastor for the role of announcer, because I organised this damn thing, damn it.
Oh, the banter between Handsome Jack and Alastor would be great.
Yes. Oh man, yeah.
Because I imagine it would start with Alastor Alastor would just be being Alastor, and then he quickly realises that Handsome Jack is getting generally irritated, so he turns it up to 11 just to fucking fuck with him. Yes.
Like, I don't want to pat myself on the back too hard, but I think this is a really good combo of characters to have in this crossover game.
Yeah.
So yeah, he would use almost entirely guns. I
don't know. Didn't he kill Roland with a knife?
Yes. So that could even be his super. Like, just slowly, he just cuts to the cutscene mode, and he just slowly walks up to someone who is like helpless, and he just goes knife, and that's your big damage. Yeah. Probably a kill. Maybe something that can only be done under a quarter health or something.
I don't think putting that stipulation is necessary, because part of a good fighting game is knowing when to use your moves, and if you fix the damage at quarter of a life bar, then people know if I use this at quarter of a life bar, it will kill. Maybe tweak it so that his voice line is different if he gets a kill with it.
Or you get a cinematic end screen if you kill with a super.
Yeah, that could work.
Yeah. And yeah, I had to note down that it was an ESRB M17, but so yeah, it is definitely adult. And and I would have his stage. I kind of like the space station. Nah, we've already done a space one. Yeah, just Hyperion HQ, where you go and fight him.
You fight him in a crater, in a vault.
Oh yeah, you fight him in the vault, don't you? It's out in the wild where he just kills Roland. Like, Roland was in a prison, wasn't he?
Roland wasn't in a prison. It might have been a prison, because you go to the voice that's been guiding you the whole way. Turns out to be Jack's daughter, and she was being kept prison, but not really. It was prison for everyone except for Jack, whose logic was, if she's not here, she's not safe.
Yes.
So for all intents and purposes, it was a prison, but Jack didn't see it that way.
Totally. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's been a while since I actually played Borderlands 2, which is a shame, because Handsome Jack is a very good antagonist who drives the story.
Go on.
No. Go ahead.
They knew Handsome Jack was such a fucking popular character that for the pre-sequel, they let you play as Handsome Jack in quotation marks.
Oh yes, you get to play as one of his body doubles. Someone who's been had their loans paid off by having him turned into a Jack clone by surgery.
Yep.
Doesn't he turn up in the Borderlands? Not point and click adventure. The
Telltale game.
Yeah, the Walking Dead style Telltale game.
Yeah. Handsome Jack's conscience was put into an AI in case he ever died.
Yes.
And the AI accidentally goes into one of the protagonist's heads, which means he's constantly got Handsome Jack in his head telling him things.
Yeah. Isn't it his prosthetic eye that it's in or something?
Well, because our main character has got a bunch of cybernetics, it's inside his brain.
Okay. And yeah, that's that character who was the protagonist of the visual novel, of the Telltale game, shows up in Borderlands 3, and so does the Jack clone.
Oh, okay, fair enough. I'm surprised the Jack clone made it that long.
Yeah, he's in like super hiding, and he lives on the Handsome Jack casino satellite, where he kind of fits in because he looks like Handsome Jack, and a lot of other things are Handsome Jack themed.
Yeah,
but also,
that makes sense.
He's very definitely not Handsome Jack.
Yeah. So, fun fact about the Telltale Borderlands game.
Mm-hmm.
You know how whenever I sign off from Discord, I go peace.
Okay.
Yeah, I do that because of Handsome Jack from Telltale's Borderlands game, because he said it once and it was hilarious. So I try to do it as often as possible, and it got to a point where I just didn't realise I was doing it. But yeah, that's pretty much what caused it. What it was is the main character accidentally woke up a bunch of psychopaths, and he's like, Jack's like, "Oh, you better run, boy," and the main character goes, "Well, what about you?" He goes, "Oh, why run when I can fly?" And he, because he's an AI, he just flies, and then he gets eventually just like, "Okay, I'm going to be real interested to see if you survive this one, champ. All right, peace," and he fucks off.
Oh man, yeah, that's pretty good.
Honestly, the best Borderlands game story-wise is probably Telltale's Borderlands.
yeah, because they can focus on just the story and not like
the bullshit.
I wouldn't say get bogged down in gunplay, because the gunplay is actually very good in my opinion. But yeah, just only focusing on story, and most of the gameplay is choices, you know?
Yeah, well, it helps because you're not playing as a fighter in Borderlands. You're playing as a con artist and a Hyperion employee who's never stepped foot on Pandora.
Yeah.
So, you know.
So yeah, we get into the final one. Who is your number 6?
Okay, Rick, I've got a fun surprise for you. I'm going to let you choose my 6th character. Do you want the animated pretty woman, or do you want the anime hentai protagonist?
Ooh, let's go with a girl.
Let's go with a girl. It's Zone Tan.
Yeah. This was one of the ones that was pretty much a shoe-in for this.
Yeah. It pretty much helped prompt the thought process in the first place, because she's one of the main additions in Shady Lewd Kart, which is the game that basically kickstarted the idea.
Yes. The Mario Kart game that prompted the retrospective after dark of this whole thing. The Lewd Fighter 3D.
Pretty much, man. Zone Tan is a bit special in that she's not entirely hentai, in that, you know, whenever Zone does something with someone else, Zone Tan is pretty much the avatar for it.
And yeah, she's. I like the little animations that he does with her when she's not doing anything lewd as well. It's like the Zone podcast.
Yeah. I don't really know what we do for Zone Tan as far as moveset goes. Like, you can give her, you could basically just amp her up into a martial artist. It's fine. She can learn those skills. I think she'd also be a great, seeing as we're talking about announcers, we could have her be the default announcer until you unlock either Alastor or Handsome Jack.
Sure. Okay. Or when Alastor and Handsome Jack are both fighting, she's the one that has to take over because they're both actually, you know, indisposed.
Yeah. They end up straight. The fucking spontaneous fight happens in the corner. Like, you get a little in-game screen of Alastor fighting Handsome Jack with life bars and stuff, and it just cuts to Zone Tan looking, going, I'm gonna fuck whoever wins this. Well, maybe. It's one of those where I think a lot of people, and I tend to agree, that Alastor is probably not interested in sex.
Oh, he's definitely not.
Which, you know, we haven't learned a lot about the character, but honestly, I don't see them as a sexual being, should I say?
No.
And I don't know if part of that is just because they've been on screen with Angel Dust, and Angel Dust is so over the top with their sexuality.
Yeah, I think he shut down Angel just very, very definitively of, when I suck my cock? Ha ha ha, no.
I don't remember that bit. Mind you, I've only watched the pilot once. I should probably rewatch it. But yeah, I'd turn her into a martial artist, like, I don't know, just give her Cassie Cage's moveset minus the guns.
Yeah, totally. Okay.
Maybe give her the occasional assist via tentacle, because we know she's down for that. And, yeah, go on.
Would the tentacle be her super, or have you got another super?
No, I don't think the tentacles would be the super. I think her super would be drop kicking whoever she's fighting into her little mini old school TV world.
Sure, okay.
And I don't know, pick any one of Zone's previous animations, and whoever is the unfortunate person drop kicked into the TV world just has to suffer the fate of that one animation. Takes the damage, and then comes out the TV a little bit worse for wear, a little bit sticky. But yeah, I think
with a 1,000-yard stare.
I think if we're going to give anyone the ability to quickly generate supers, I think it should be Zone, and I think the possibility should be like 20 different scenes depending on a random dice generator on what happens in the screen.
Yeah, sure, I get that.
And give Alastor a bonus in resisting it, in that he doesn't take as much damage because he doesn't care.
Yeah, I like that.
And as for a stage, the newsroom. It's going to be the newsroom.
Yeah.
I think that pretty much does it for Zone, and let's throw it to you, Rick, for the final entry segue into our adult fighting game crossover.
Yep, this is going to be another animated one. It's going to be one Reagan Ridley from Inside Job.
Okay.
So she's very definitely someone who does not care about throwing around the fuck word. She gets her own little set of upgrades as the series goes on. She always, after a certain episode, has a hidden set of Dr. Octopus arms.
Okay.
So just having those as something that she can use, potentially able to cling to the top of the stage, to get a permanent resistance or immunity to ground-based attacks would be a fun thing.
I don't think that's fair.
Okay, as when I say permanent, I mean like basically going to a stance, and it only lasts a few seconds anyway. But like, yeah, it's better than jumping, that you can just grab the top of the stage and do fewer moves because your extra arms are taken up by grabbing that. She's got a few other gadgets like a gun that can erase your memories and things like that.
Okay, but I don't know how you'd implement that into a fighting game, Rick.
Well, it's just an example. Like she's got gadgets like that. So pistols that do things like just making gloop, turning someone's arm into a tentacle for a little short amount of time, and then it goes back again.
Okay, I appreciate these are all cool concepts, Rick, but again, could you give an example as to how you'd make it work in a fighting game that you got to bear in mind has to be fair?
Well, what I would do is I'd make something like that into a super, where it doesn't do a lot of damage, but it disables one of your buttons on the controller for like 10 seconds.
It would break a fighting game.
I mean, that's why it doesn't do a lot of damage.
It would break a fighting game. Like, damage isn't the be-all end-all. If you take out a move from someone's arsenal for a whole 10 seconds, that's a tenth of the match.
Yeah, fair enough.
Like,
okay.
I don't want to poo-poo your ideas, Rick. Don't get me wrong. They're very imaginative, and I dig it. I really do. But I know we're in the realms of fantasy booking here, but when we're making movesets, we've got to think logistically, how would it be possible? Like, my movesets have been very boring, but that's because you kind of have to be a bit boring when it comes to fighting game movesets. I've tried to remedy that by making the supers a bit interesting, but even my supers are press button, play cutscene, big damage.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I tried to make this one a bit more creative, but yeah, like you say, it might be just too difficult to do, because, like, it depends how many buttons you have. Like, if you got, like, 2 punch buttons and 2 kick buttons, for instance, then only having heavy punch instead of both punches might not be so bad.
I mean, yeah, but don't forget, it would also disable throws. It would lock out combos.
Sure, but I'm hoping that most characters have certain combos that just use feet or just use hands.
Okay, but here's the thing, not everyone would have it, That would make this character a hard counter to certain characters.
Which I don't think is a bad thing.
I do. I don't.
Okay.
I don't want it's one of those where I don't like games where it's like, oh, this character's picked this, I've got to pick this character now because it hard shuts them down. Oh, they've gone for that character, I now can't pick the 2 characters I'm best at, Yeah,
okay, fair enough. Yeah, I see you. I guess as we do more episodes, this kind of thing might end up being less important as more characters are, I don't know. I'm saying scissors wielders.
Yeah, but...
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but having a triangle in a fighting game, it works in strategy games, but in fighting games it's a real bastard. Unless we make it a literal Capcom versus Marvel... No, Capcom versus Marvel scenario where you have 3 characters per fight. But we can't really do that when we're each picking 6 characters.
Sure. Well, we're only starting with 6. Like, we've seen the roster that you've given us in terms of the graphic, and there is room for more. If this goes well, then we're gonna pull more of these out of our asses. But yeah, for the stage, I would make it Cognito Inc. because there is a lot of fun things going on in the background there, including the other characters from the show, but not limited to them.
What the fuck does that mean?
Well, okay. So more a case of, yes, it would all be things from the show, but it doesn't have to just be the main crew. It can just be like some alien that someone just brought in at one point, does something funny, breaks out of containment, and mullers a bunch of guards.
Yeah.
And then just fucks off.
Okay.
Basically, a similar version to the police station, except that they're not all police. They're all like Men in Black ++ agents.
Yeah. I've seen the first episode.
I watched it all. I was so bummed when it got cancelled.
I think a lot of people were. Like, it wasn't to my liking, so I don't know. It might be fine. I've watched the first episode under less than optimum viewing conditions. I've just not felt compelled to try more. It's one of those where,
sure,
even if a show doesn't appeal to me, if the art style is good and I can see it's clearly got its own identity, I'm like, yeah, keep making that. I'm not going to watch it because it's not for me, but that's fine.
Yeah, totally.
I do understand that's not how fucking television directors work, though.
And I guess that's going to be it for today.
Nope, we're going to do what we did for Smash Bros, Rick, where instead
I've slept since then.
Okay, all right, you bastard. For context, guys, that was only last week. But yeah, at the end of the last episode, which was the Smash Bros episode, instead of doing our regular wind down, because we can't really, what we did was we each decided to pick one character from the other person's selections and say, yes, that's the one I definitely like the most.
Yeah. So for me, from yours, it's definitely going to be Zontan.
Fair enough.
Because this is a character that if you made this game and excluded her, then you didn't make this game.
That's a nice way of putting it, but I half suspect that the reason why it's Zontan is it's the last one I said and the only one you can remember.
No, it's also one that we talked about beforehand as well. I also do really like the idea of having Blitz in there. So, like you said, with the caveat of Vizziepop being okay with it, then yeah, let's have Blitz.
Yeah.
And yeah, I would very much like to see Imp HQ in a fighting game art style. Like, yes, it would most likely be pretty much the same, just with, a little bit more semi 3D embellishments to bring things to the foreground and background that you can walk around.
Yeah, I don't know about you, Rick, but whenever a game brings together a bunch of different things with different art styles, my brain instantly goes to, okay, so what are we going to do for the art direction for this game? Because we need to incorporate everything. My brain defaults to cel-shaded.
Usually, yeah. Like, I remember when Disney did their Toys to Life game, everyone got made into a more toyish thing, including actual toys. So Toy Stories got made into, like, little, kind of more like Clone Wars, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, more angular.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
But yeah, so from that, what would you pick from mine?
I'm really torn between two. I'm torn between Handsome Jack and Alastor.
Yeah, it's a shit one, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a maddening pick to pick.
At a push, I'd give it to Alastor just because I know less about him and I think you could take a bit more liberties with him. But at the same time, I also think he'll definitely... They'll both be entertaining announcers, no doubt about it. But Alastor is just built for it.
Yes. That's basically his persona before he became a demon.
Yeah.
Was the two things that he did. Number one, he was a radio announcer back when radio was king. Number two, he was also a serial killer. So having both of those thrown together in an adult game like that is just a chef's kiss already.
I can also imagine the two of them comparing numbers. I imagine Zontan going like, wait, is that how many people you slept with? No, we're talking about how many people we murdered.
What did you think I meant by body count?
Because if we're going by body count as in sex, Zontan wins.
Oh yeah.
But I also, at the same time, I don't care how efficient Alastor was in life. I don't think his body count, murder-wise, is as big as Handsome Jack.
No. I don't think anyone could match the body count of Handsome Jack from the people that we've listed so far.
Let me think. No, I didn't really go for killers in mine.
No. Man, if Coconut had a body count, that would be a bit of a shame.
Coconut's body count is 1. She only serves Master Summer.
Ah, yes. I meant the other kind of body count, but yes.
Oh, dude, if she had a body count, it would be via accident.
Oh, yes. Slipped with a tray full of stuff. The tray went and severed someone's head.
No, the tray was full of knives. Don't ask why it's full of knives. It just was. Coconut did not think to ask about it.
Coconut did nothing wrong.
No. She's not Griffith. It's fine. Oh, God, we could have had Griffith.
Yep.
Oh, let's wrap this episode up, Rick, before we go down another spiral.
Yep. So, if you liked the video, you've got the comment section down below on YouTube. If you're listening via one of the many audio platforms, you have the email, which you can send to
nonsensereviewuk@gmail.com. Once again, that is nonsensereviewuk@gmail.com. We accept all dildos.
Well, we also accept all emails as well. So, yeah, if you've made it this far, as always, you are our favourite people. It's going to be a goodbye from me.
Goodbye, everyone.